She heard her son's voice, crying, terrified, begging her not to hang up, except her son was 3 states away, asleep in his own bed, and had never made that call. By the time she learned the truth, $48,000 was already gone. And the worst part? Even now, if she heard that same voice again, she isn't sure she wouldn't believe it. Call her Ellen, 58 years old, a schoolteacher for 3 decades, 29 years in the same classroom, teaching other people's children how to read, how to add fractions, how to write their names in cursive. She raised her own son alone. No help from anyone. No safety net, but the one she built herself, dollar by dollar, for over 20 years. Every spare paycheck went into 2 things: his education and a savings account she swore out loud more than once that she would never touch. She wasn't careless. She wasn't naive. She double-checked her locks every night before bed. She never clicked a suspicious link. She read the news. She knew, in theory, that scams existed. She was, by every reasonable measure, a careful woman. But she was also a mother. And somewhere out there, a stranger had learned exactly how to sound like her child. The call came at 11:40 on a Thursday night. Her son's name lit up the screen. The same contact photo she'd saved years ago at his college graduation. She answered before the second ring. That's what mothers do. Always. Without thinking. "Mom," the voice broke. "I got in an accident. There's a woman. She's pregnant. I don't know what to do." It wasn't just similar. It was him. The pitch. The rhythm. The stammer he'd had since childhood. The one that only ever surfaced when he was truly panicked. Her heart was already pounding before the second voice cut in. Calm. Official. Practiced in a way that only comes from doing something many, many times before. "Ma'am, my name is Mr. Harmon. I'm your son's attorney. He's being processed right now. There's a bail arrangement we can make, but only if we move quickly." Ellen's hands were shaking too hard to hold a pen. For one brief second, she almost asked to speak to a police officer directly. Almost asked for a badge number. But then the attorney's voice sharpened, just slightly. "There's a gag order on this case," he said. "If you contact the police yourself, a lawyer, even a family member, it could add years to his sentence. Do you understand what I'm telling you? How would you tell the difference between your child's real voice and a copy bill from a video he posted 3 years ago?" She was told to withdraw $6,000 that night, in cash. A courier, she was told, would meet her at a store parking lot 15 minutes from her home. She stood there for 11 minutes, clutching a plain envelope, watching every headlight that swept across the pavement. A man in a gray sedan finally pulled up. He didn't speak. He simply rolled down the window and held out his hand. She handed it over. Her fingers wouldn't stop trembling for an hour afterward. The next morning, the attorney called again. Another $12,000. "Your son is asking for you," he said, his voice softer now, almost kind. "He's scared, Ellen. Don't let him down now." That single sentence, "don't let him down," did more work than any threat could have. Then, that evening, 30,000 more, nearly her entire retirement cushion, withdrawn across 3 separate bank branches in a single afternoon, so that no single teller would ask too many questions. At the second branch, a young teller paused, looked at her carefully, and asked if everything was all right. Ellen almost told her everything. The words were right there, but the attorney's warning echoed louder. She smiled instead, said she was helping a relative, and walked out with the cash. Each handoff after that followed the same quiet choreography. A stranger, a silent nod, a car pulling away before she could even read the plate. Would you have called your son's real cell number to check? Or were you told, like Ellen, that a single wrong move could ruin everything? By the second night, Ellen hadn't slept in over 30 hours. She kept replaying the voice in her head over and over. The stammer, the panic. It sounded so real that doubting it, even for a moment, felt like betraying her own child. 2 days later, her phone rang again. Her son's name. Again, her stomach lurched before she even answered. But this time his voice was steady, cheerful even, asking about dinner plans for the weekend, like nothing in the world was wrong. Ellen went quiet, completely quiet. "Are you okay?" she finally asked, barely above a whisper. "The accident. The bail. Is it over?" Silence on his end. Then confusion, real confusion. "Mom, what accident? What are you talking about? There have been no crash, no arrest, no attorney named Mr. Harmon. There had only ever been a voice, pulled from a video he'd posted online years earlier at his own college graduation, the very same photo saved as his contact picture, rebuilt syllable by syllable, phoneme by phoneme, into a weapon aimed directly at the one person on Earth who would never hang up on him. $48,000, handed to strangers in 3 separate parking lots, over 3 separate days, for a son who had been asleep in his own bed the entire time. Ellen filed a police report that same night. An FBI internet crime complaint followed the next morning. Investigators confirmed, gently, what she had already started to fear. Cash, handed to an anonymous courier and moved through untraceable channels within hours, is almost never recovered. Not in this country, not in most others. Her retirement, planned for the following June, didn't disappear entirely. It simply stopped being about rest and started being about rebuilding one more school year at a time. There was no dramatic reversal, no last-minute intervention, just a woman going back to her classroom a little longer than she'd planned, and a quiet apartment that felt, for a long while afterward, colder than it used to. But something did change. She and her son now share a phrase, 4 words, meaningless to anyone else, that only the 2 of them know. If a call ever comes again, claiming to be him in danger, that phrase is the only thing that will make her believe it. Here's what makes this kind of scam so devastating, and it has almost nothing to do with the technology itself. Voice cloning tools are frighteningly easy to access now. A few seconds of audio, pulled from any public video, is often all it takes to build something convincing enough to fool a parent, a spouse, a lifelong friend. But the technology isn't what emptied Ellen's savings account. It was a secrecy clause. The moment someone tells you that contacting police, a lawyer, or another family member will make things worse, that is not protection. That is isolation, dressed up as urgency. Every fraud investigator will tell you the same thing. Secrecy is never part of a legitimate emergency. Real bail hearings do not come with gag orders that forbid you from calling a second lawyer to check. Real hospitals do not ask for cash in a parking lot. This is, in fact, the oldest trick in the history of fraud. It has simply learned to wear a new voice, literally. 3 lessons, wherever in the world you're watching this from. First, agree on a family code word today. Something short, something ordinary, something only you and your loved ones would ever know. If the caller on the other end can't say it, hang up immediately, no matter how real the voice sounds. Second, any instruction to keep an emergency a secret from police or a family is, by itself, the scam. Real legal systems, in any country, simply do not work this way. Ever. Third, hang up and call your loved one back directly, using a number you already have saved. Never the number given to you by the caller, no matter how official it sounds. If you heard your own child's voice, crying and begging for help on the other end of the line, right now, tonight, would you have known in that moment that it wasn't really them? Every week, a new story that could save you thousands. Don't miss the next one.